Ever felt like the world was just a giant question mark? Like, maybe things weren't quite what they seemed? You're not alone. Back in ancient Athens there was this dude, Socrates. He felt the same way. Socrates wasn't afraid to ask tough questions, even if it ruffled some feathers. In fact, he made it his life's mission. And guess what? It got him into a whole heap of trouble. Socrates is considered the father of Western philosophy. He challenged people to think critically and to question everything. Imagine that, questioning everything. He believed that the unexamined life wasn't worth living. Bold words, right? Socrates' story is a powerful reminder that questioning is fundamental to progress. It's about understanding ourselves and the world around us. And sometimes, it's about having the courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's tough. Okay, so picture Athens in the 5th century BCE. Imagine a bustling city-state, a hub of democracy and intellectual ferment. Theaters were packed, philosophers were debating, and democracy was still a new and exciting experiment. Athenians prided themselves on their freedom and their ability to participate in government, but like any society, Athens had its share of problems and insecurities. Think about it, they had just emerged victorious from wars with Persia. They were at the top of their game, a major power in the ancient world. But this newfound power also brought a sense of anxiety, a fear of losing what they had fought so hard to gain. In this climate of uncertainty, questioning the status quo could be seen as not just annoying but downright dangerous. Enter Socrates, a gadfly as he famously described himself. He wasn't some stuffy old dude lecturing from a podium. Socrates hung out in the marketplace, engaging anyone and everyone in conversation. His teaching method was unique. He didn't claim to have all the answers, instead he asked questions. Lots and lots of questions. This was his thing, his claim to fame. He'd sidle up to a big-shot politician and be like, "Hey, you talk a lot about justice, but what justice really?" He challenged people's assumptions, exposed their contradictions, and made them think deeply about things they took for granted. Imagine being grilled by Socrates. You'd walk away feeling like your brain had just done a marathon. Now you can imagine not everyone was thrilled with Socrates' constant questioning. Imagine being a powerful Athenian leader, used to people nodding along to your every word. Suddenly, here's this guy, making you question your deeply held beliefs in front of a crowd. Awkward. Socrates' relentless questioning began to make some people very uncomfortable. They saw him as a threat to their authority, their beliefs, and the stability of Athens itself. Here's the thing about power. It often thrives on unquestioning obedience. When someone like Socrates comes along and encourages people to think for themselves, it can be deeply unsettling to those in charge. They feared that his influence might lead to dissent, disobedience, or even rebellion. In their eyes, Socrates wasn't just a philosopher, he was a dangerous radical. Section 5. Silencing a voice, igniting a legacy. Things came to a head when Socrates was accused of impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens. The charges were politically motivated, a way to silence a man who had become too critical, too influential. Imagine being put on trial for simply asking questions. That's exactly what happened to Socrates. His trial was a pivotal moment in Athenian history, a clash between freedom of thought and the forces that sought to suppress it. Despite facing serious charges, Socrates used his trial as an opportunity to defend his beliefs. He argued that a life without questioning was not a life worth living. He saw his role as a gadfly, stinging the Athenian state into awareness, challenging its complacency. He could have easily saved himself. He could have apologized, toned down his rhetoric, or simply left Athens. But Socrates, true to his principles, chose to stand his ground. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. Section 6. The Trial of Socrates, a Show and a Sham. The trial was essentially a show trial, a message to anyone else who dared to challenge the status quo. Imagine the scene, a crowded courtroom buzzing with anticipation. Socrates, charged with impiety and corrupting the youth, stood accused by powerful figures in Athenian society. His accusers argued that his relentless questioning undermined their authority and threatened the very fabric of Athenian society. But here's the thing, Socrates wasn't some rabble-rouser. He wasn't trying to overthrow the government. He just believed in the power of critical thinking, in challenging assumptions, in seeking truth through dialogue. In a way, they were right to fear him. Socrates represented the power of ideas, the uncomfortable questions that make people think and challenge the way things are. Section 7. Echoes of Socrates in the Digital Age. Fast forward to today and we see echoes of Socrates everywhere. Think about it. Every time we question a news story, challenge a stereotype, or engage in a healthy debate, we're carrying on Socrates' legacy. In the age of social media, where information spreads like wildfire and opinions are polarized, the need for critical thinking and civil discourse has never been greater. From online forums to political debates, we're constantly bombarded with information, some true, some false, and everything in between. It's easy to get caught up in echo chambers surrounded by people who already agree with us. But just like in ancient Athens, a healthy society needs people who are willing to ask tough questions, challenge the status quo, and engage in respectful dialogue even when it's difficult. Section 8. The Unquenchable Flame of Inquiry. Socrates' death was a tragedy, a loss for Athens and for the world. But his legacy lived on, inspiring generations of thinkers and challenging us to live examined lives. His story reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge and truth often comes at a price, but it also underscores the enduring power of ideas to transcend time and inspire change. Socrates' story is a reminder that the quest for truth, for understanding, is an ongoing journey, not a destination. It's about asking questions, challenging assumptions, and being open to new perspectives. This spirit of inquiry, of never taking things at face value, is what makes us human. Section 9. Keep asking, keep growing. So the next time you're scrolling through social media, watching the news, or just chatting with friends, remember Socrates. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if they make people uncomfortable. Challenge your own beliefs and be open to changing your mind. That's how we learn, grow, and make the world a more interesting, vibrant, and thoughtful place. Socrates' story is a powerful reminder that questioning is not just about acquiring knowledge, it's about personal growth. It's about shedding our preconceived notions, embracing intellectual humility, and becoming more open-minded and well-rounded individuals. Section 10. Socrates. Now still relevant, still inspiring. Socrates might have lived over 2,000 years ago, but his message is timeless. He reminds us that the pursuit of truth and wisdom is a lifelong journey, and it begins with a single question. So go out there, be curious, and never stop questioning. The world needs more Socrates now than ever. Keep asking those tough questions, keep the conversations flowing, and keep the spirit of Socrates alive.